We've seen a lot of transformation in the last 10 years. We've seen financial stress, as elsewhere in the globe, particularly in the Indian context. How are Indian companies changing with the shifts and transformations that are being driven by technology? The big debate in India is the big companies, organized companies growing at while the smaller informal sector is suffering because they are not competitive enough.
Well, if you walk around the promenade in Davos, the thing that struck me was the number of Indian companies that have pop-up stores along the promenade. I don't think in the 7 years that I've been coming, I haven't seen this level of Indian representation here at Davos.
That's a key point to hear from the Deloitte global CEO. Go ahead, please.
The other thing is the number of states. You've got Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu,
Telangana.
and of course India House. Yesterday I was walking down the promenade. I smelled samosas in Davos. India House.
Okay.
So I think India is really...
Do you miss your home state of Haryana, if I may ask?
Absolutely. I think Haryana should be here.
Okay. That's a message we'll try and get to Mr. Khattar for sure.
Absolutely. Chief Minister ji, idhar aao. What was your question again?
I was talking about how do companies in India see this shift, because you consult with so many of them. How are they changing? Because it's not just the top 50 or 100 Indian companies. The vast amount of Indian employment happens still in the informal sector.
That is true. But I think, I mean, look at India, the number of startups that you have. It's second, I believe, to the United States. The number of unicorns, I think, is second to the United States. So I believe that the larger companies certainly are becoming global entities. Many of the Tata companies, as for instance, and some of the startups are making some innovative investments and innovative products. I'm very bullish on India. You know, I've said this multiple times. I believe this is India's century. I think what has happened in the last number of months with Ukraine has certainly made it more difficult, more complex for everybody. But I still believe this is India's century.
Okay. Since you talk about Ukraine and its impact on global business, China plus one, in the Indian context, certain companies, large companies, are looking at India fresh from a manufacturing point of view, and the Indian government pushing manufacturing in India, the Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Is that going to work? What is ground level feedback telling you?
I think absolutely it is going to work. India, the number of the FDI amount that is coming into India is at record levels. There is a disconnect between perception, particularly in Asian economies like Japan and Singapore. We just did a study. 75% of the 2,000 CXOs that we interviewed were looking to invest in India, but there was a disconnect between perception as to what has changed in terms of ease of doing business in India, particularly with Asian investors, that we need to address.
Punit, in slightly simpler words, has it changed for the better? Because for the record, the ease of doing business rankings for the country have gone up consistently in the last few years. Yet you hear a lot of people talking about just the sheer difficulty of working on the ground in India. What has changed?
Well, I mean, the digitization of customs, for instance, is one such example. I think it's absolutely changed, and for the positive. But as I said, perceptions need to change as well. I think the Indian community needs to do a better job explaining the changes, and there is more work to be done.